Hello, my beautiful friends. It is such a gorgeous day outside. The sky is super blue and the grass is super green. And that reminds me of a poem from the poet in Big Fish that just says, "Sky's so blue, grass so green, Spectre is really great." It took him 11 years to make that poem. I am absolutely so incredibly grateful for everything that just happened in this last year. And so I wanted to share some of my important lessons with you guys, especially with the new year coming up. I'm going to be talking about intentions today because we set a bunch of goals that we break within the first 30 days of the new year when we have that mantra, "New Year, New Me." What does that mean to you? You have to give that meaning. You have to make it mean something to you in order for you to be able to follow through with that completely. And one way to actually make that solid in you is to not set those goals. Don't make them finite goals, but set intentions. Think of it, the difference between a diet and a lifestyle change. Kyle Cease talks about this, and he's one of my biggest spiritual mentors. And he just speaks so flawlessly on these subjects. And he discusses how a goal is very finite. You don't change as a person. You just reach it, and then you're like, now what? That didn't make me happy. That didn't fulfill me in any way. But when you set an intention, you become so strong and steadfast in who you are and who you want to become that you just exceed these goals you set. Like, if you wanted to make a certain amount of money and you just set a goal, well, you're just gonna set your sights to that goal. But if you set an intention around that, you might even way exceed the goal, way up here, and surprise yourself and just feel so much stronger and just validating. It just validates all that you want and all that you think you are and who you want to become. So it's pretty incredible stuff. So for me, in the past year, didn't have super clear intentions. I didn't go into the new year saying these are my intentions. But I definitely realized that I had recurring themes of intentions that I set throughout the year, and they all came together. So 3 big ones. There was growth, mainly spiritually. There was simplification, so simplifying, especially with my home life. And there was cleansing relationships. And this is really cool how it all works out. Main point is you get what you ask for. So with growth, I started out the new year in a job that I really didn't like. I was just miserable going to life, kind of. I was miserable showing up for it every single day, and it spilled out into the rest of my life. I mean, I would wake up, go to work, and then come home and just try to regroup myself just to go back to work again. And then on the weekends, I would spend my time just regaining my energy. And as soon as I was like, I have energy and I want to go do all the things I love, it was Sunday night and I had to go to work the next morning and I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. But that job did give me the opportunity to really learn, dive in and invest in myself in all these courses for spiritual teachings and really grow in my perceptions on everything. And that growth ultimately allowed me to lean in and really trust the universe that when I felt guided to leave my job, I was strong enough to do it. And there was just so much growth, and there continues to be so much growth in this journey. And it's such an amazing thing. The second one is simplify. I ultimately lived between 3 homes over the past year, and it got messy. I mean, I was just taking so much junk with me everywhere in my car. I just felt like I needed it, and I didn't really know where I would end up from day to day because I had 3 main stations, and I needed to have specific things on me at all times. So every day, I was like, God, please just help me clear out, help me simplify this, because I don't want to deal with any of this anymore. I don't want to have to lug around a car full of stuff when I have a little sports car that is supposed to be clean and feel good to drive around, not I'm just carrying weight and baggage with me everywhere. And how that turned out was I left my job, and then I ultimately made the decision to move out of the place that I was renting, and move back home. And I also broke up with my boyfriend, who was also an hour away from my home. So it wasn't easy. None of those things were easy decisions for me to make. But in doing that, I'm now in one location, and I have all this stuff that I get to, like, I don't have to carry that stuff around with me anymore, because I know I'm going to go home to the same spot every night. And also simplifying, as I came home, my mom decided to redo all of the bedrooms upstairs, change the carpet, repaint the walls, and now it's just this really cozy place. And it was perfect timing. I got to, like, bring in all of my stuff, and I was like, I'm clearing this out. So I have all this lovely junk on the floor here that I get to go through and ultimately decide what I am keeping and what I am giving away and throwing out, and it's just very cleansing. With that, moving on to cleansing, it's just weight lifted off your shoulders, you know? Cleansing came in the form of relationships. I had set the intention that I really wanted loving relationships in my life, and I felt like I already had a lot, but I knew spiritually I was starting to experience, like, what genuinely unconditional love was, which was such a gift. And I just felt I needed to step up my game, who I was surrounding myself with, and go from there. So I had to cut off a lot of relationships, and it wasn't always easy. Like, all of these things, you're kind of going through these and not knowing, like, you feel like a victim. You're like, why is this happening to me? But then you think about it at the end of the day, and you're like, I'm getting exactly what I asked for. I cut ties with a lot of, like, friends who weren't serving me. Not that they are bad people by any means. I love them dearly, but I just I give a lot of my attention to other people and not enough for myself. And this upcoming year is the year that I need to just completely focus on me. So I had to come to terms with my relationship. I thought it was a healthy relationship because, you know, he was, like, a very calm personality, and the only way I knew how to really measure relationships was if they are an aggressive person or not, and I really felt comfortable around that. But in reality, we didn't align at all. We didn't have so many interests, and I was, you know, kind of on my growth game, and he wanted to stay where he was at, and there's nothing wrong with that. I absolutely adore him as a person still, and we just, like, it was mutual. It worked out in the end. But as soon as I broke those things off, other friendships, that relationship, just the right people showed up. And it was incredible. I don't understand. I mean, I get it, because that's how the universe works. You gotta at some point take your pants off, your old pants off, to put your new pants on, and you won't put your new pants on until your old pants are off. And that's exactly how it worked, because I moved back home. I felt that I needed to be back home because that was where a lot of spiritual people were. But as soon as I did all of this and cleansed these old relationships, they just, like, came out of the woodworks, like, everywhere. I'm reconnecting with people from high school who I didn't know then, and they just turn out to be the most beautiful people in my life right now. And we're all challenging each other to grow spiritually and just as people, and we're really, like, giving each other space to be who we are and just celebrating who we are. And we all love each other so much, and we just, like, we're always sending messages like, I love you, I appreciate you, and it's so cool, and I'm so grateful. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't cleanse, if I didn't allow that intention to show up in my life the way it did. And I'm just absolutely elated for that. It's just such an amazing thing. So basically, with all of this, pay attention to what happened this year. Reflect on this year. Set aside time to do this. Don't just say, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, no, you have time on your commute in the morning. If you meditate, if you're watching TV, like, put down the remote for a second and just like sit with yourself and see like, okay, what showed up in my life this year and how did that reflect where my thoughts were, what I was asking for. Were you asking for growth opportunities? If so, like, did you get them? Was it uncomfortable? Or did you ask for just complaints? Or did you say like, oh, my life is so shitty and there's so much crap all the time? Well, yeah, it's gonna show up as crap if that's the case. And I don't say this as like, oh, it's shame on you. It's become aware of where your consciousness is. I catch myself all the time in like I can't do it mode. But notice what your intentions were that ultimately led your direction this year. Because if you don't set clear intentions, your consciousness is going to set them for you, and we all know how destructive it is when we listen to that consciousness, to our egos that are constantly trying to guide us in our life. It's like a tour guide who's never been to a city before, because that's not leading from your heart. That's not leading from a place of love and empowerment. Like, that's leading from a place of fear and anger and resentment, and you gotta let all that stuff go. And boy, it's scary. It is so scary, but it's so absolutely life-changing. So over the next couple of days, I'm going to be sharing my 2019 intentions. And yeah, if you see anything you like, adopt it for yourself. Listen in to how I explain them and take what works for you and leave the rest. But really, intention is more powerful than goal setting, and I can say that for myself. It's not like I went in and it was like, I have a goal that I'm going to get rid of every last individual in my life who pisses me off. Like, it's not like that. You gotta follow, like, with those intentions, you see flow. You'll feel it. You'll feel when something's being forced versus like something that's you're just resistant to because you need to grow from it. Intentions allow you to do that. They allow flexibility, whereas goals do not. So don't stay stagnant. Set a goal and allow that flow and see where it takes you, but reflect first. See what intentions you have set by accident. So you guys got this. Baby steps. Start with something small and have a beautiful day. Definitely keep in touch with me on social media. I want to hear from you guys, all of this stuff. You've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Those are all under Lauren Mudrock. And I have a website, laurenmudrock.com, where you can find my blog posts and other videos and stuff. And if you want a free meditation when I have them coming out, when they come out, you can subscribe to my email list that you can find on my website as well. And you'll get constant communication with me through there, just keeping you updated with all of these videos and content that I post, because it is so imperative when you are on your journey to not go alone and not forget this stuff. You don't want to just drown yourself in as many spiritual mentors as you possibly can. So I will be very happy to be one of them. But yes, all right, thank you guys. Have a beautiful day.